guys, Brittany here. So, first of my review for season 1 of ER. I was really excited when I saw ER was on Hulu because this was a show that I never watched because it came out in 1994. I was born in 1992, so like, yeah, I was 2 when the show premiered. And I believe it ended in 2009, so technically I could have watched it, but I wouldn't have understood anything because, like, that's a lot of show that I missed. So, I'm watching it for the first time on Hulu. I'm really enjoying it. And, yeah, so here is my review of episodes 1 through 5 of the first season of ER. Alright, so I watched the first episode of ER. It was a pretty much a simple episode, kind of setting up everything that was going on within the hospital, and also kind of gave you an idea of what to expect from the show. I think the characters I like so far. I really like Mark. I like George Clooney's character. I don't know everyone's name yet. I like Carter, I think he's the new doctor. I'm really interested about what happened with the nurse Hathaway, I think her name is, who overdosed. I think her character stays on the show, so I think she'll get better. But yeah, so like I don't have a lot to say about the first episode. It was just kind of a basic pilot episode, kind of introducing you to characters and kind of giving you like a general, just like this is what the show's gonna be like. So I don't have much to say about the first episode. I did like it. I'm intrigued, and I can't wait to watch more. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 3. Because like I said, it was just a pretty simple pilot, just kind of introducing you to the characters and the environment. Alright, so I just finished episode 2 of ER. I'm trying to get my goddamn self comfortable. So, first of all, I took a full page of notes. Hathaway seems to be doing fine, which I'm glad. And we only see her at the end of the episode, but she's mentioned quite a few times throughout the episode, specifically when it concerns Doug, because they had a 2-year relationship and he hadn't gone to see her yet. And apparently she's fine. She's living with her mom. It was just kind of quick little scene between her and Doug, and I was like, okay, I guess. I've also learned something I think might be a problem for me with the show, is they introduce these cases and these patients, and I don't get a complete resolution, so I'm like, that's gonna be annoying for me. Like, the only patient, and I'm mainly talking patients with this, the only patient that I feel I got a full resolution on was the old guy that Susan was kind of obsessing over, getting him into psych because he obviously was like senile and needed to be taken care of. And then the old couple, who broke my heart, by the way. I cried like twice. That just literally broke my heart, and I think it inspired Doug to go see Hathaway. But those ones had resolutions. Like, I don't feel like I really got to see the resolution for the drunk driver that hit the family. Sure, we got to see the reaction of the driver when the nurse told him that, you know, he had hit a car and killed the mom and the daughter was in surgery. So you got to see his expression, but I'm like, that doesn't feel like a complete story to me. And also at the end, you have the story with this patient where Benton asked Carter his opinion, Carter gave his opinion, and he's like, no, you're wrong, this is what it is. Side note, I get Benton's like a tough love kind of teacher, but there's a way to be a tough love teacher and not be a dick. Benton needs to learn how to do that because he's not doing it. But then the dude's like family physician comes in and be like, nah, he's fine, he can go, you're doing unnecessary testing. Only for the episode to end with that same patient coming in, who I'm assuming the problem Benton thought was correct, because he came back in, they didn't really say. And then the episode ended, I'm like, well, is the dude okay? Were you right, Benton? I need answers. So, yeah, that's probably going to be an issue for me. Carter, I like Carter, but, you know, he's trying. I mean, I like that he took the initiative to try to save that dude's life who flatlined. Don't know if that's the correct thing to do, but I mean, no one was around, so what was he supposed to do? A little bit of levity for the episode was when Mark's wife passed the bar, and then she came to tell Mark, and then they had a little fun in the bathroom, only to get caught by the doctors because Mark pushed some button that alerted them. And so they saw the drama with Mark's wife. I'm torn Because, like, I get where his wife is coming from, and I get how she's frustrated because she wants to be with her husband. She wants him home more often, and I get that. That's totally valid. But I'm also like, what did you expect? You married a doctor. It's a weird kind of place to be. Also, Susan's with the psych doctor, which I'm like, didn't see that coming, so okay. And then I guess my last little thing is, so Carter had this chick come in with a rash. It's like, okay, great. And then she was hiding in his car when he got off work, and he, like, left with her. Are you... What a freaking moron. You don't just leave with the crazy lady who's hiding in your car. Does he not know anything about stranger danger? Like, what the hell? Overall, really like this episode. I would probably give it a 3.5. It was really good, really strong. Had some really interesting patients and cases, and some good character development. But I did have my issues with it, so yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts on episode 2. Now on to episode 3. Alright, so just finished episode 3 of ER Going Home, and once again, got a full page of notes. So Carol came back to work, and it was interesting seeing her throughout the episode because I kind of wasn't sure if she was, like, actually fine and ready to be back to work. Like, she slipped back in seamlessly, and I'm glad everyone was so happy to see her, and everyone was very supportive. But there were just some scenes where I was just like, I can't tell if she's genuinely okay or if she's just putting on a brave face for everyone. So I'm still kind of concerned with Carol, you know, mentally. They did bring up why she attempted to kill herself. She had a conversation with Doug because Doug tried to rekindle their romance, and I kind of agreed with Carol. I think it was out of guilt. Like, there might have been genuine, like, feelings of, like, let's try this again, but I feel like a lot of it was out of guilt. Not his 100% desire to be with Carol again. But she mentioned, you know, it's just a bunch of things building on top of each other until she felt trapped and couldn't do it anymore, which, like, I get. I also found it interesting, along with Carol's kind of getting used to being back in the ER, they had this patient who had cancer who didn't want to do this blood transfusion she needed because she had to be at her, I believe, granddaughter's christening. It was just an interesting kind of patient for Carol to have, considering she just tried to end her life, and here's a woman who doesn't have much time left, and she's trying to live every day to the fullest because she knows she doesn't have that much time left. So I thought that was an interesting patient for Carol to have in this episode. Now, the other kind of interesting patient that stood out to me was the singing lady, who mainly Carter took care of in this episode. And I just loved the scenes with this woman and Carter. I really liked it how Carol's patient kind of revealed to her and Susan that, you know, she's this really amazing singer from the 40s that her, you know, the patient and her husband had saw when they were on their honeymoon. So I thought, oh wow, that's really cool. And I'm happy that, you know, they found her granddaughter. She's fine. She's back home. The only really story that I feel like we didn't have any kind of resolution with, the poor man that kept coming in who'd been shot at his liquor store, like, that really didn't have a resolution except that, you know, he got shot again, so. Also, apparently, Carter is still with the crazy lady that hid in his car last episode, and she showed up at his work and tried to have sex with him in the, I'm assuming, the room where they look at the x-rays, and I'm just like, you can't just be showing up to Carter's job. Like, oh my god, I'm so glad it was the x-ray technician that found them. I don't know what would have happened to Carter if Benton found him. Side note, Benton still being a dick, don't like it. But, yeah, I'd probably give this episode, 3.5. It felt pretty good, decent wise. I loved this episode definitely focused more on Carol, and I liked, that episodes do feature Doctor a little more than others. Like episode 2, I didn't mention it, I felt focused a little bit more on Susan, where episode 1 focused a little bit more on Mark. But, yeah, so this one kind of focused more on Carol. I think I'm going to pay attention to that, see which doctor or nurse we see the most. But, yeah. So, that was episode 3. I'm going to go watch episode 4. Just finished watching ER. Episode 4 of Season 1, Hit and Run. This was an okay episode. I didn't feel like it was horrible, but I didn't think it was, like, amazing. The main story was about this kid that was brought in, like the title says, because of a hit and run, and I was surprised that, like, one of the nurses said that he was a DOA, but yet they spent 31 minutes trying to revive him, so that kind of shocked me. And this became a main story specifically for Carter, because Carter was tasked with trying to ID the body, and he went through a yearbook, and he thought he found the right kid until the parents came, and were like, that's not our son. And the episode didn't specifically say, because it later showed Carter, because the first family, Peter is the one who told them that their son had died. The second time we see some parents, it's Carter telling them that their son has died. So I'm assuming the parents that Carter was talking to were the correct parents. It was also interesting, I had to think about it, because I think that might have been the first time that, like, Carter had witnessed someone dying in the ER, I think. I may be wrong. Or maybe it was the age of the victim, I don't know, but, like, he was really affected by it to the point where he was thinking of quitting, which I'm like, I mean, I get it was a rough day, but dude, you signed on to be a doctor. You went to school to become a doctor. Wasn't going to be a cakewalk. Like, people die. This shit is serious. That's what it is. It's a strain on you mentally and physically. Like, you're gonna have to get used to it. And I know this sounds kind of bitchy, but I was like, that's how I felt. The other kind of main story was Doug and this patient, the mom. I think the psychiatrist said she was schizophrenic, and how he had promised this little boy that, you know, he would be with his mom, and it's like, even I knew the minute it left his mouth, I'm like, Doug, you can't promise a child that, because you don't, at the time, you didn't know what her diagnosis was, so how would you know she'd be able to stay with him? Like, Then the ending with him just showing up at Carol's house with a bouquet of roses, and I'm just like, I was like, Carol, like, just leave her alone, okay? She's moved on. She seems to be happy and in good health now. Just let her be happy with her new man, Doug. Stop. Yeah. I need him, like, I'm not against him being friends with Carol, but I need him to stop trying to be with her romantically basically, if Carol wants to be with Doug, fine. Right now, she clearly does not, so I need him to take a step back and back off. They had this random scene of Doug and Mark, like, tossing a football back and forth. Not, like, going long, but just, like, casually tossing a football while they're walking down the hall, and I'm like, is that wise to be doing in the hallway of the ER? And what is with Doug's sick fascination with trying to get Mark to cheat on his wife? It's so annoying to me. Like, I'm sorry, if I was Mark, I'd want to punch Doug, because, like, no. I get it, you like to sleep around. That's great for you. I'm faithful to my wife, leave me the fuck alone. Oh, and then the scene where we got a little bit more backstory on Peter, how his mom, something's wrong with his mom, I don't know what, but they kept saying sit with her, so I don't know if it's just, you know, she's dying, or if it's, like, mentally, but, like, his brother-in-law and his sister wanted to go out for the 10th anniversary, and Peter's like, yeah, I'll come and sit with her. And then he fucking didn't. And I loved the hell that was rained upon him by his brother-in-law, because it's true. Like, I'm sure the family gets, you know, Peter's very busy. He's a doctor, especially in the ER. We get it. But, like, obviously I know doctors are probably, like, always on call, so there's always the chance that they have to leave. But, like, on one of your days off, just go and relieve your sister and your brother-in-law. And sit with your mother while they go out. Like, how fucking hard is that, you know? I felt the brother-in-law's frustration, and it was well-deserved because I was frustrated with Peter in that moment. Like I said, it wasn't a horrible episode. It wasn't amazing. I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was just, yeah, it's just like an average in the middle kind of episode. But yeah, so I'm gonna go watch episode 5 now. So I just finished episode 5 of season 1 of ER, episode title Into That Good Night. Basically, this whole episode revolved around one patient. I mean, there were other patients, but it essentially was about this man named Sam who had basically his heart's kind of deteriorating. At least that's what I understood from watching the episode. And oh my god, the actor who played Sam did an amazing job. It was just so heartbreaking watching him. I teared up twice. First, when his wife and daughter finally arrived, and he kind of came to the realization that wow, he was going to die, and he just said how he wasn't ready to leave his wife and daughter, that they still needed him. Oh, it killed me. And then the scene went after, he kind of said his goodbye to his daughter, and she walked out of the room, and Mark was standing there, and she's asking Mark why he couldn't fix her dad. Oh my god. Which I know was probably heartbreaking for Mark, because I think he said his daughter was 9, and I think Mark's daughter's like 5 or 6. So, oh my god, like, oh, it was so heartbreaking. Getting back to Mark, so his wife got a job in Milwaukee, which apparently is 2 hours away. Now, I had a feeling they'd somehow fix everything so that Mark could stay working at the hospital and not move to Milwaukee. But I didn't like how at the beginning of the episode, like, the wife basically was, like, saying, oh, she's had to compromise things. And it's like, okay, we get it. You don't have to guilt the man, Jesus. But then at the end, when he's like, okay, fine. I think realizing after dealing with Sam and seeing his family, he's like, no, I need to be with my family. And he's like, okay, no, I'll get a job in Milwaukee. We'll move to Milwaukee. And then the wife's just like, no, it's fine. I'll just make the 2-hour commute. I'm like, really? Really, lady? Other than that, we had this storyline about Carter apparently got an STD. They didn't really say whether or not he did or not, because, like, it showed him reading his results, but, I mean, he looked relieved, but then his face changed, because then it showed his girlfriend, or I guess what he thought was his girlfriend, with a different doctor. So I'm like, is this just something this chick does? Just shows up with, like, fake ailments, or she hurts herself just so she can go sleep with doctors? I'm confused on that. I'd say overall this was kind of a kind of in-between episode. Nothing extraordinary, but nothing horrible. I will say I liked it a little bit more than episode 4, and I think that had a lot to do with the storyline of the heart patient. And also just the acting was really good, and it tugged on my heartstrings, which is why I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So now I'm going to go watch episode 6. Yeah, those were my reviews of the first 5 episodes of season 1 of ER. I'm really enjoying the show. I can't wait to watch more. I'm not 100% sure when the next part of my reviews will be, but be on the lookout. I will actually be creating ER's own personal playlist, so you can check that out. So be on the lookout for that, and also be on the lookout for the other shows I will be doing these type of reviews for. And in case you don't know what those are, I will be doing also Dynasty, Grey's Anatomy, Jane the Virgin, Law & Order SVU, Riverdale, and Younger. So I hope you guys will check out those other shows, and I hope you will continue to check out the rest of my reviews for ER, and I hope you'll check out my other videos on my channel. But yeah, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Until next time, bye guys.